Hey everybody, time for another Blue Goth Orc Army update, and I have been busily painting characters and very happy with absolutely everything. So let's start with the simple one here. Let's go with the Warbanner knob. So here's them. Get a little better shot in here. So I went with green on the squig, just like the bomb squigs I did. He's painted pretty much exactly the same way. And so on this character, starting with this guy and all the other characters, I did more than I would normally than I did on the boys or the Ludus. So these got more details than the rank and file guys. So they got extra layers. First of all, they got an extra layer of blue. So I would normally go with Lothran blue, then a Drakenhof Nightshade wash, and layer up with the Lothran blue, Bahara blue, and white. But on the characters, as I said, I added another layer, which is a 50-50 white and Bahara blue mix, which makes them just a little bit lighter than your average orc that I painted. Yeah, if you compare him to like the Spanner here, you can see the skin just looks a little bit lighter, and that's because of that extra layer. And instead of just doing like an extreme highlight with the white, it's actually got a layer of white. So yeah, I put extra time into these, and then everything just pretty much got an extra layer or an extra highlight, which is something I didn't do on the rank and file guys. Yeah, so this is the Warbanner knob. Again, checks on there as much as I could for the Goths, and especially the Tuskor fur all got extra highlights on these guys, which I definitely did not do on the rank and file guys. So yeah, there is the Warbanner knob. Turned out great. And then let's go over the War Boss. And oh my gosh, I can't believe how just incredibly awesome of a model this Black Reach War Boss really is. They really need to release this guy on his own clamshell. That would be absolutely perfect. This guy is awesome. This is an absolutely fantastic model. Some of the extra layers here is I did the on the cloth here. Instead of just leaving it washed, I did an extra layer of the Zandri dust. Was that the color? I never remember. No, not Zandri dust. Rakarth flesh. It's got to be what it is. Yeah, Rakarth flesh. That's the beige I used. The white, off-white. So Rakarth flesh, and then a highlight of white. So the boots got a highlight, which they didn't do on the, and the brown pants got a highlight, which again, two things I didn't do on the rank and file. I also highlighted all the metal parts, which is something else I didn't do. Again, so the fur up here, the Tuskor fur color up here, got extra highlights, including a blend of the Tuskor fur and white as a final highlight. And then I kind of did a blend of yellow to blue here, which of course is just green, right? Around the where the metal parts go into the skin. Yeah, so yeah, just, again, more checks wherever possible. There wasn't a whole lot of room for checks on these guys. There's so much detail, so there's not a lot on them. If there is some, there on the gun. Yeah, so there is the War Boss. Again, this is an absolutely fantastic model. And I said they really, really need a clamshell of this guy. Okay. And we have the two force field mechs. Surprisingly, not a lot to do on the backpacks, but they still came out, pretty much did everything just the same as the other two guys. Extra layers, extra highlights. I added some energy effects to these coils here. And the blue plasma, or the purple warp plasma effect that I do went onto the spheres of the force field. Added some buttons or lights up here on the sides. Checks again, wherever much. Mostly on these guys, the checks are mostly on the weapons, because there's really no room on the bodies themselves for that. So yeah, so yeah, both choppas have checks on them. This head is really weird with the hose going through the lip. Yeah, so these are the force field mechs. again, it's just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, first field mix. And lastly, the Shock Attack gun mech. And this guy is just absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, his Grot Oiler. So a couple things here. So on the Snotling, I did the blue Snotling and then kind of faded it into purple on the legs as it's being sucked in. I actually saw this effect on a video from Mr. Watching Paint Dry on his Shock Attack gun, where he did the same kind of a blend on the legs as it was being sucked into the gun. So I decided to do the same thing. Again, purple for my warp effect. Everything in the warp is purple. And so yeah, it actually looks like he's being sent to the warp through there. And the part where he's digging nails into the ground really works well when you build up the iron crust around it. Doesn't really seem like all that out of place at all. See, the scratch marks are actually in the ground. And of course on the spheres here, I took the lightning plastic parts and just continued the lines to this little metal thing on each one. So, and I really like how that turned out. That's a really great effect, continuing the lines of these trailing, whatever they are, lightning or whatever you want to call them, and continuing them across the sphere. I think turned out extremely well, and I absolutely love how this guy came out. Also, much happier with the Grot skin. It still didn't highlight very well, but instead of using the Lothran blue and thinning it down and using that as kind of like a contrast, I'm using the Bahara blue and then washing it with Aggressor shade and shading it with the Dragonhof Nightshade, or glazing it with the Dragonhof Nightshade, which kind of sort of works. But yeah, it's a lot better, but it still doesn't give the same highlights like the green does on my green Grots, but it's a lot closer to an acceptable effect. Yeah, I just love the gun itself. Okay, so that's where we're at. These are some fantastic models. I love these Cromlech backpacks. They work absolutely perfectly. There's plenty enough of mechy style bits and stuff in the knob box to make mechs. And then adding these watch parts like the gears here on the tabards or cloths here. I can't remember what that's called. Not tabard. Loincloth. Each one has like a watch gear on there. And again, the watch parts stuck to the weapons and the shoulder pads. Just kind of add more of a mechy feel to it. And this, I definitely picked the right boss pole backpack thing for the Nagant Warband, the Grot, the squig up there. Looks fantastic. So yeah, 5 very good characters. Very needed characters here, all done. So I'm down to just the 4 vehicles, 10 Grots, and 30 boys. So total right now painted is 1,698 points of painted blue Goth orcs and 661 left to paint. So I was going to do the airbrushing on the black on the vehicles. I will still probably do that, but for now I'm going to start doing the figures that go on the War Trike. I might just end up painting the War Trike by hand because it's a lot less intricate than the other things, which just brushing black onto those trucks and on the trucks especially. The battle wagon can probably get away with it, but the trucks definitely need to be sprayed to get a proper black coat on them. So I'm going to be working in War Trike, and who knows when I'm going to actually get around to spraying the other vehicles. But I always got another unit of boys and another unit of Grots to work on, and the War Trike's actually going to take a while, so that's the next project, and that will be so I've got a total of 9 characters for this army. So got these 5 here, plus 2 weird boys, plus the pain boy on the bike, plus the Death Killer War Trike. It's 9 characters. That's a pretty good variety. of very good and useful characters, especially having 2 force fields. Very important. Okay, so that's it for this video. We hit the 10-minute mark. I think I've rambled enough. So these guys are just absolutely fantastic. I could not be happier with all of it. This entire army is just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, we'll end on the war boss here. Thanks for watching.